remember that you've been told it's a different world. It's a different world. It's a different world. It's a different world than where you come from. Ooh, than where you come from.
All right. I want to say rest in peace to the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin. Those of you who don't know, she had passed on, transitioned to another world at the age of 76. According to some reports, she wasn't doing quite well as far as her health is concerned for quite some time now. And we lost a legend in the world of music. So all I can say is that, you know, Aretha's work will never be forgotten. It will be ageless, and she was definitely one of a kind as a performer and as a true artist in a way. So, especially from a soul's perspective. And I had to play that intro music in the beginning of this video because as a kid I used to watch this urban TV show called Different World, and that was my favorite theme song back in the late 80s, watching it as a kid. So, yeah. I mean, those of you guys who don't know what the Different World is, Jada Pinkett Smith kind of made her TV acting debut. I believe that was her TV acting debut on that show. Tupac Shakur made an appearance on that show as well. In the early 90s, they both did. So, just to give you an idea, background about the Different World, then, just a little background about it. But anyways, this is not what this video is about. Let's get into the boxing now. Now I saw this article that came out on Boxing Scene, but it was first published on the World Boxing News. And the WBO has put out a statement, and they issued an order for Anthony Joshua, who is the belt holder, the champion of that organization, to fulfill a mandatory obligation after the Alexander Povetkin fight, if he does get past Alexander Povetkin. He has about 180 days, which is about almost 6 months, to come up with an agreement. Or actually, no. He has 6 months to fulfill that obligation, or he risks of being stripped of that very title. Now, I've seen a lot of videos today about this, and all I can say is this is leaving most of us out there scratching our heads and trying to figure out what's going on here, because 2 weeks ago, I should say, about a little over a week ago, the WBO had announced that Anthony Joshua has been upgraded to super status as their super champion. And within that status, Alexander Povetkin, who is rated #1 with that organization, has been promoted to be the mandatory challenger, which means that his mandatory obligation will be retroactive to this upcoming title fight with Anthony Joshua. Okay, fair enough. Which we would assume at the time that Joshua is fulfilling both, a mandatory obligation for not only with the WBA but also with the WBO. But now the WBO rescinds that and says that Anthony Joshua will be ordered to face a mandatory after the Alexander Povetkin fight within 6 months after September 22nd. Okay? And what's so bizarre about this situation is that there isn't a mandatory challenger that they have announced yet. It's not Alexander Povetkin, so who is it? Is it, Alexander Usyk? I mean, he hasn't even enforced his mandatory privilege. So what's going on here? Why would the WBO tell a champion of their organization that he has a mandatory obligation without a mandatory challenger to be announced? And no final elimination bouts have taken place. And let's look at the rankings here, because from the looks of it, Alexander Povetkin, if he loses this fight to Anthony Joshua, his #1 ranking with the WBO will be impacted, which means that he will lose that position. And then the next person behind him is Dillian White. Now, two scenarios can happen if that's the case. If Povetkin loses his #1 ranking, then Dillian White can possibly be named the mandatory challenger without fighting in a final title elimination bout. Now, if the WBO, which according to this report, could force a final eliminator before then that step would be to order a final elimination bout between Dillian White versus Jarrell Big Baby Miller, who is the third-rated contender in that organization. So that's a possibility. And I've seen a lot of guys up in arms about this because people were under the impression that the winner of the Wilder and Fury fight would get the October 2019 date at Wembley for the Joshua fight. And if you ask me, this was already penciled in. This was already planned. Because Eddie Hearn said himself that in a recent interview with Boxing Voice that they've already got Dillian White lined up for that date. He slipped that up, and then he tried to retract it as best as he can, but it was too little too late. So, but the thing is, though, the bottom line is that this is very, very confusing, and this is something I never seen before. I never seen an organization do something like this where they're going to order a champion to face to fulfill the mandatory obligation without a mandatory challenger being named. That is very unprecedented, and I've never seen anything like this. I mean, if it's something like this has ever happened in the history of boxing, please let me know, because I never heard of it. I've never seen anything like this. And yes, sanctioning bodies are within their discretions to manipulate the rules. That's what they can do. That's within their bylaws and standards procedures. But the fact is that I've never seen anyone do something like this. I wouldn't go as far as to call this a conspiracy, but yeah, something's not right. That's all I can say. Something's not right here, and I don't think fans are going to take this lightly, given the fact that Anthony Joshua did say that he's adamant about getting a Deontay Wilder about to happen in 2019 of April. But then again, with this news coming out, that could be possibly rescinded, because he himself did say, according to this report, based off what's going on, after Joshua fulfills that WBO mandatory, which is penciled in to be April of next year, then he has an IBF mandatory that he has to fulfill. And the winner of that is a final elimination bout between Hughie Fury versus Kubrat Pulev. So the winner of the Wilder and Fury fight is going to have to wait until 2020. And he did mention something about this in that infamous controversial interview he had with Sky Sports with Johnny Nelson. We all remember that interview, which he got a lot of criticism for. So, yeah, this doesn't look good. Like I said, I mean, if you got to defend against your mandatories, get them out the way, fine, so be it. But the way the WBO came out and pulled this bizarre move, this call for what it is. This is bizarre. I've never seen anything like this. I hate to repeat myself, but please, all I gotta say is, anybody in the comment section, please help me understand the situation, because I am very, very confused here. I'm gonna have to go further. This situation is leaving me in a state of disarray here. I just can't make it. I can't really make sense of this. It doesn't make any sense. Anyways, drop your comments below. Let me know what your thoughts about this bizarre move that was been pulled by the WBO. I'm out.